everybody, and welcome to Ring Post Radio, the only show that when it's Easter Sunday, decide to have a great Friday instead. I am your host, Ryan Knightsey, and with me, as always, is the man, the myth, the legend himself, Scotty Edwards. Scotty, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. You know what's funny? Ryan? Maybe
my
it's
intros?
because... What were you going to say?
I said my intros? My intros?
Oh, yeah, sure. But I think what's funny is that I'm way more awake today than I am on like a usual Sunday.
Yeah, that's true. That I can feel the energy. You're bringing that. But to be fair, most Sundays you have spent staying awake till like 4 a.m, maybe.
Now listen, you're right.
It's not your fault that you cover Joshi. The thing you happen to like the most is Joshi wrestling that happens to take place in Japan, which happens to be always have a show at like 1 a.m. for us.
Does
you were just born, as Lady Gaga once said, you were just born this way.
I'm on the right track, baby. I was born this way. I don't know the rest of the song, so I'm gonna stop.
Well, with that out of the way, we thank you so much, everybody, for joining us for this week's episode of Ring Post Radio. Again, we are here on Friday instead of this upcoming Sunday because it's Easter, and instead we're gonna do a Good Friday. And also, I got in-laws coming into town, and I was told I curse too much, so maybe
as we like to say, if we move the day, it's probably Ryan's fault.
That is true. That is very, very true.
We've never said that before on the show. So actually, and I don't think we've ever said that to each other. So actually, we don't like to say that. I just felt like saying that today.
But we do have it ascribed to a throw pillow that Scotty has on his couch. That he has that phrase ascribed to a throw pillow in his house.
Yeah, I do actually. I would show you guys, but
it's an audio podcast, so you can't.
My dog ate it.
My dog ate my pillow. Wow. what a rousing start. There are people at work right now who are just foaming at the mouth to hear our takes, and instead we're talking about throw pillows. And I don't know whose fault that is, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Don't know whose fault that is? Oh, okay. Sure.
Scotty, we're doing great. We're doing great stuff. Hey, it's like I'm excited because I will say this. I'm excited because obviously I think we have a great show ahead of us today. But also,
hey, I never guarantee greatness.
I was born for it, as Daniel Bryan's song once told me.
Well done.
Thank you. And I am also excited because I am finishing up the show I was working on, the TV show I was working on. My last day is this coming Monday. So now that means you and I are going to be going headlong. If there's ever a better time to subscribe to Ring Post Radio on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you get your podcast player of choice, now's a good time to do so. If there's ever a time to subscribe to the Patreon, maybe not like immediately right now, but May seems like a good time to maybe to hop on board because I'm gonna have a shit ton of free time, and Scotty necessarily won't have more free time, but I will have more ability. So we'll be starting to record season 2, maybe. Ryan hasn't seen anything. We started
season 7 actually. If we add 5.
Correct. Good job. Good math.
Thank you.
I'm gonna try to work on getting us some interviews because we're gonna continue that trend.
Yeah. That sounds like a good job for you because I don't do those.
No, you've never done an interview in your life. You don't know how to talk to wrestlers at all.
Nope.
But we'll try to see if we can get some stuff that for you folks now that I'm free. So, like I said, if there's ever a time to subscribe to Ring Post Radio, now's gonna be the time, especially the podcast player stuff, because those, if we get wrestler interviews, we're able to secure those and we publish those, that'll just be on the audio. We're not going to obviously live stream that. That feels awkward to do with a wrestler's time. But yeah, no. So I think now's the perfect time, if any time, to join us on a Ring Post Radio adventure. Without further ado, I think it's time to get to the proper show, Scotty. The proper show, of course, lots of topics to discuss.
Ryan, can I ask you a question?
Oh, already? We're going to right as I'm starting to get into it, we're separating, but that's fine.
Would it be right if we didn't? Would it be right if we
No, that's the Ring Post Radio guarantee.
What do you want to talk about?
Ooh, fuck you. I'm starting to talk about the discussions, and you stop me full there to say what I want to talk about, of course, Scotty. Thank you so much for asking, because I would not be able to start the show without you asking. And that is, of course, we're going to be talking about Sakura Genesis, the New Japan show happening tomorrow. We're going to talk about AEW All In, a show happening in August. All in August.
I even say ballsy show happening in August.
Real ballsy show. We'll talk about that. Jay White Watch officially being over. We're also talk about. We didn't talk about WrestleMania Night 2 on our last show, so we're going to talk about a little bit of that. A little bit cold, so we're going to just talk about the stuff that we liked, maybe stuff we didn't like, and a little bit of fallout from that.
A little bit of fallout.
A little bit of the chicken gate that came out of that. And of course, you might have heard this story. It might be the biggest story in the history of wrestling. A little thing that we like to call the merger of WWE and the UFC. Now that Endeavor will be the majority shareholders of WWE. So we will start with that topic. It is the biggest topic probably ever since maybe the sale of WCW. I don't know. Brawl Out was like a big story, but this is a big financial story. So there's a lot to talk about here.
Did you hear that? Did you hear yourself? What wrestling fans love more than a big financial story?
I mean, look, man, some people are into it. WrestleNomics has fans.
WrestleNomics, great. They do great work. That's why they are WrestleNomics, and I'm fixing my hat on a live stream.
That's fine. So
there's something in my eye.
Okay, well, I'll get to the premise here. So it's a big old show, big old topic point. I have a shit ton of notes about it. I have a dossier of notes about this.
Ooh, little dossier action.
Dossier of notes here. So I'm just gonna go through the notes, and I'll probably do my various asides as I'm saying them. But Scotty, in classic fashion, there's ever a point where you want me to pause to talk to get more in depth about a certain topic or a certain line in the notes, a little line in the dossier, just tell me to pause, and
just cut you off like I always do.
Cut me off as you always do, and we'll get into it. So let's talk about the WWE UFC merger. So WWE is set to be acquired by Endeavor and merge with the UFC as a newly publicly traded company, potentially named TKO. That's still kind of up in the air. If regulators approve the deal, it will be completed by year's end. That's right. It's not being sold to the Saudis. It's not being sold to any streamers. Well, maybe not their TV rights, but we'll get to that. It's not being sold to Disney. It's not Comcast. It's been sold to Endeavor. Endeavor, the plan as first reported, is to combine WWE and UFC into a publicly traded spin-off company. Endeavor will remain in place, owning 51% of the company, while the other 49% will be owned by WWE shareholders. So if you own stock, you still own the company. It's worth half, I guess. Your stock is worth half, maybe. I don't know how stock really works in that sense. Anyways, we're not WrestleNomics. Get out of here. WWE's enterprise value is reported as $9.3 billion, with UFC carrying an enterprise value of $12.1 billion, putting this new company at just north of a $21 billion valuation. My aside here is just that, as many things to talk about in regards to Vince McMahon, there is an element there of the man did ultimately take a $1 billion company when he first bought it.
1 million.
1 million, thank you. $1 million company when he first bought it from his dad into a $9.3 billion company. That involved a lot of destroying the territories, buying competition, a lot of back secret handshakes, shady crap to hide, and a lot of stuff like that. But he ended up doing it. He flipped that company to be $9.3 billion and to flip into a new company with the UFC into a $21 billion valuation. So you cannot knock the man there, I guess. I don't know. On a CNBC interview, Vince McMahon was asked about his role in creative and will he be involved. Vince, at the time, again, this was recorded on Sunday, so keep that in mind. Vince said, quote, yes and no, and that he would remain at a higher level, but not in the weeds. Should be noted that when Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff took over Raw and SmackDown booking respectively around, I believe it was 2019, at the time, Vince also stated that he will no longer be booking in the weeds. So how long did that...
Liar!
Is that your pause?
Yeah, it's time to pause. I let you say a lot. So I want to jump in now. Ha. One, Mustachio McMahon is a absolute nightmare to look at. He looks like I can't say that on here. Never mind. He looks like the usual villain that like plays the commander of an army.
Yeah.
And wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Maybe that army is extra bad sometimes, if you know what I'm saying. I'm not going to say it on air, but you may know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
May be designed during World War II. Just a hint. He looks awful.
He looks like he's going through a midlife crisis, which is terrifying because he's in his 70s.
Yeah, he's in his 70s, about to turn 80, like very soon enough.
He looks like, you remember Rocky and Bullwinkle?
Yeah.
He looks like Snidely Whiplash.
Now let's get into the grasp of this, right? Let's talk about the sales. Obviously, a big deal.
Huge deal.
Plain and simple. WWE will never be the same again. That's just a fact.
Unless you listen to Triple H, of course. But continue.
Yes, because WWE's not going anywhere. So this is like the craziest thing I've ever seen for a company, right? Because for a wrestling company, listen, I'm sure other companies have went through dramatic change, but just think about this. On Saturday, we talked about the show on Sunday morning. Saturday, they had the world by the you-know-whats. They were cruising. They had a phenomenal Wrestlemania. And ever since we finished recording, it has been news and shit and bad and Vince McMahon coming back. It couldn't have gotten worse since that moment.
It feels like the company took a complete 180 in the matter of 2 episodes of Ring Post Radio.
It's like they said, we're going good right now. Let's ruin that. Yeah. That's what it felt like. It's incredible how dramatically a company can change in 24 hours. 24 hours.
Yeah.
They went from on top of the world to this company stinks. Get them out of my face. They suck. It all started with the main event. But little did people know that was the least of your problems. There were many more problems on the horizon, a la Vincent Kennedy McMahon and his bullshit. We'll get to the creative side in a few minutes. He already hinted at it that he wouldn't be in the weeds. That motherfucker could be closer to the weeds if he was the weed itself. Shut up. He's deep in the weeds. He is the weed. He is the weed, and the weed is ruining the shit. If you ever wanted to see the difference between a Triple H run show and a Vince McMahon run show, you just gotta watch Raw this past week, folks, because on the biggest Raw of the year, it fucking stunk. It was terrible. This guy couldn't be worse at his job if he tried. But you know what? It's okay, because he just walked out with millions of dollars, because in the end, who wins? Vince McMahon wins. Because the world is cruel, folks. You know that great song, the theme song of Eddie Kingston, The World is Cold? Oh, it sure is cold, folks. This stinks. And that's why we are sitting here talking about Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Do you remember, Ryan, when he got in trouble and he retired, and I said, I would love if I never had to talk about this guy again.
When you say he got in trouble, you mean the multiple sexual
Yes.
allegations and
Yes.
harassment claims
Well,
against him?
I only say in trouble because that's how it's been treated. It's just a slap on the wrist all of a sudden,
Yeah.
all those things
He,
that would, pretty much end a person's career. Well, this is Vincent Kennedy McMahon. He is a billionaire. He is all this stuff.
Scotty, you have to remember the man made mistakes. They're just simple mistakes. He made a little oopsie poopsie.
Oh yeah.
No big deal.
Yeah. He wasn't just a complete utter scumbag. Nope. He just did a little something. Nope. That's it. Nothing.
I think
I hate this guy.
It's fascinating how much WWE PR is great now. Weirdly, now that Stephanie's gone, the PR system is working at like an all-time high, and it's such a aspect of the story of why Vince was gone in the first place that it feels like that happened 8 months ago, 9 months ago at this point, with Vince leaving the company. Like,
sounds right.
This isn't like years old debate or conversation. This is very fresh, and people seemingly forgot why we are here. Why is it all happening? And it's frustrating. It's very frustrating. It feels like, watching WrestleMania, having all the advertisers involved, right? No advertiser seemed, discouraged from being involved with WWE. No advertisers seemed discouraged from doing these things. We'll talk about it in a minute. The whole reason, Endeavor wanted, Ari Emanuel, the CEO of Endeavor, who bought WWE, bought majority shareholders of WWE, explicitly said, I want this guy. I wouldn't do the sale without Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon is Teflon. He has always been Teflon. And he will be in that chair until his dying days. And like I said, if it's a midlife crisis, we got another 70, 80 years of this man. So we'll see how this goes. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, his mother lived to be like 100 plus. So he's going to be around for a long, long time.
You know what that sounds like? That sounds like a threat.
In some ways, it is.
It is a threat. I had one more thing to add before we continue.
Sure.
I feel like this is very important. Mm-hmm. Vince McMahon is a bad human being. Like a truly bad human being. People doing what he's done and being able to just move on as if nothing happened. That is part of this world that is very, very wrong. And the fact that we are now, we can take the wrestling side out of this. Yeah, sure. You're not going to get to enjoy WWE anymore. But there are people who suffered via this man and will continue to suffer via this man. And they have to continue that while he gets to go on as if nothing happened. And I think that's a shame.
And I'll add, not just nothing happened, but millions of dollars richer.
Yep.
I could not say it better myself, Scotty. Totally agree with what you're saying. But let's move right along. Let's talk about the creative on Monday Night Raw. Apparently, there was a lot of high-level booking that needed to be done because, as reported by Wrestling Observer Newsletter, PW Insider, and Fightful, and many other outlets, Vince McMahon was fully in charge of Raw. Meltzer said that the show was changed when McMahon arrived and as the show was going on, which, of course, if you saw on social media that night, there were plenty of pictures and videos from Raw showcasing that to be true. The PW Insider report said that Triple H initially was the person in the headset during Raw, but as time went on, McMahon became more of the point person in charge of running the show. PW Insider also said there was a, quote, huge negative shift in morale as talent realized that things were exactly where they were before, prior to Triple H being named Chief Content Officer in July of last year, when McMahon initially resigned from the company. So yes, Monday Night Raw, Vince again. I said this for weeks now that we were teasing it and getting into it, and then as we saw Monday Night Raw, we were fully back into it. You had classic Vince McMahon bookingisms, which of advertise big time main event that you never deliver on. I would argue Brock Lesnar turning heel. something which apparently
That
the
was scheduled,
reports coming out afterwards that was
reportedly.
scheduled a month in advance, just like Cody losing was scheduled a month in advance. Um,
Mm.
I don't know who would have scheduled that. I mean, there was Vince
Uh,
McMahon was certainly back a month in advance.
I don't know. I will say, I want to say this before we move on and never talk about Triple H again, uh, because scrub. Uh, he is he he showed a lot through his reign as the head booker that he has a lot of Vince isms, right?
Yes, I would agree. I
But he's
he
still infinitely better than Vince.
Let's talk about it. At XX Ichiban tweeted at us. We had a bunch of questions from folks, so we appreciate your questions. He tweeted a question here: the Triple H era of booking, quote, which in parentheses, which is seemingly ending to some degree, will likely be looked at back on positively due to what preceded it. But do you think the positives of his time with the book outweigh the negatives? And what was the biggest missed opportunity during that time? So, sort of answering that question, sort of what we're talking about here is that Triple H's era of booking, I think like his style of booking when he was doing NXT, it was, it became popular with a lot of like running big time indie matchups and doing a lot of that stuff. I mean, what would you say in NXT? What was his biggest storyline? Probably the DIY storyline, which once in late stage NXT that became super overwrought with a lot of booking nonsense and it became super over the top and it didn't quite work and the matches did not, in my opinion, did not live up to it. When he got the book in main roster, he decided to sort of stick with the Vince McMahon style of booking with a little bit, some glossier spots and sections. And is that a negative? I don't know, because ultimately what happened is that WWE became way more popular than it has been in years and maybe a decade or so. Vince being gone allowed Triple H to be the spokesperson, the booker, the spokesperson of WWE, and be able to put on a product that a lot of people enjoyed. Now, ironically, chicken egg situation here is the popularity. I'll ask this question to you, Scotty. Was the popularity of WWE that happened under Triple H's regime a part of Triple H's booking, or as XX Ichiban sort of alluded to, was it looked at positively because it wasn't Vince? Was he booking well, or was he just not Vince McMahon? I think initially 100% he wasn't Vince McMahon. He was Triple H. He's somebody else. We saw negatively. As soon as Vince McMahon is back, you have hashtag fire Vince McMahon trending all over Twitter. How much of Triple H's regime positive notes have to be attributed to the lack of Vince? And I think that's an immediate question that we have to ask ourselves.
It's a great question because it's obviously very early to know the answer, right? Like we won't know for sure,
Mm-hmm.
I think. But at the same time, as someone who watched this show on Monday
Yeah. Yeah.
and watched last Monday's show, for example,
Mm-hmm.
there is some credit to give to Triple H.
Okay.
No doubt about it. As much as I do think that Triple H had a lot of problems with his booking, aka the incredibly fumbled bag of, say, Damage Control, for example. That's one of many.
Yeah. I would say one of his biggest fumbled bags.
It's one of the biggest fumbled factions.
Yeah.
In WWE history, let alone in Triple H's run as head booker.
Yeah. We'll get to another in a couple topic points. We'll get to another fumbled bag by WWE.
Yeah. But I think people will remember fondly on what he did more so than just because it's Vince.
Yeah.
I do. Mm-hmm. Because no matter what, he was head of the majority of the bloodline angle. I know he got it handed to him, but let's be honest, folks. I don't think it lasts as long under Vince McMahon. I just don't. I don't think the Sami Zayn stuff goes nearly as long. with Vince McMahon. But then you have to remember what he did if it was indeed his decision on the final night of WrestleMania. And it's like, well, he pulled the Vince. He went with the top guy instead of someone new. And it's like, to me, there's never going to be a perfect booker for WWE, no matter who it is. And what I mean by that is there's never going to be someone that gets everything right. Hell, there's never going to be someone that I think gets something as much as right as, say, Tony Khan does with his stuff. And maybe that's because they've done it for so long, right? The closest we've ever seen to, and it also depends on what people find to be perfect booking. You and me sitting here, we're going to like something a lot different than, say, the general WWE fan, which is what you also have to play to, right? So that's like that's part of the thing. But to me, overall, I think people will remember it fondly for a long time, but majority will just agree that he wasn't Vince. And
No.
that was enough.
And I would argue one of his biggest bright spot, I would argue, is 100% the Sami Zayn story. I think I surmise that my assumption is that I think the Sami Zayn story I would attribute to Triple H. If you look at the timeline, just looking at the timeline of it all, Sami Zayn joins up with the Bloodline in April. He's around them for a little bit. Vince McMahon is outed out of the company by July 2022. Around that time, and is really when the Zayn Jey Uso stuff kind of started. But it was really took place fully, way into Triple H's regime. And then once Vince McMahon started coming back, you started to get the reports of, oh yeah, Sammy's not going to be the main event of WrestleMania. Sammy's not going to be involved. Maybe he'll have the tag titles. Maybe it won't even be the main event. You know what I mean? Like, it was around the time Vince started to come back in, it looked like Sami Zayn started to get weirdly demoted. Now, he got demoted for Cody Rhodes, which, as we'll talk about more, is in hindsight, the complete right decision. They booked that well, and he is still to this day the biggest merch seller in the company of active wrestlers. He's one of the biggest needle movers. He's the biggest star of the company. So arguably, yes, that is the correct decision to go with Cody. And whether or not it pays out is another thing.
But he didn't go with Cody, Ryan. He didn't.
No, Vince McMahon ultimately did not go with Cody Rhodes. Or maybe Triple H. Who booked it? Who was to say?
No, here's the thing. I think they've both shown the ability to go too long. Triple H did that a lot in NXT. He went just a little too long on certain reigns.
Yeah.
Vince McMahon does that almost all the time. Vince McMahon, he's had a lot more to go off of. So there have been times where he's seen the right moment and he's just done it, right? Kofi, Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan was, begrudgingly, as we know.
Yeah.
But he's done that. And we're sitting here now and we're talking about, was Cody the right time or not? I think it was absolutely the right time. And I don't even care if it was Vince's decision or Triple H's decision, because I think both of them were going to make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
1,000 days means a lot more to them than the moment and, I guess, excitement moving forward. So
it is
whatever.
And that being said, there are sort of mixed reports about what's going to happen with SmackDown tonight, since we're recording on Friday.
It's going to be shit. There you go. It's going to be shit.
Triple H is going to kick off the show like he did with Raw, maybe addressing the issues of Raw. I don't know. I like to imagine that in the weeds, Vince McMahon was just talking about SmackDown, and that Triple H is going to book SmackDown and Vince is going to book Raw. That seems like something Vince would do. But we'll find out more about this information, about the creative side of it all, probably tonight on SmackDown. On Vince's
card looks like a Triple H book card. Have you seen the card?
There's some stuff in there. There's some
You
stuff
got
in there.
like Gunther and the two hooligans against Sheamus and his two hooligans. You
Mm-hmm.
got Sami Zayn versus Jey Uso.
Mm-hmm.
But that also feels like a Vince because like, oh, maybe we should pay that off of a pay-per-view. No, just kidding.
Yeah. Who's to say? Who's to know what will happen? Who's to say any of this will actually happen after after the Monday Night Raw that took place? On Vince's legacy and scandal, Vince was quoted as saying, again, I have made mistakes, obviously, personally and professionally throughout my 50-year career. I have owned up to every single one of them and then moved on. I'm not sure on the legacy stuff. I'm not going to write it.
Definitely moved on.
Yeah. He said, adding he has an extraordinary amount of fun, a great passion for what he's done, and did the biggest deal he has ever done in his life. Ari Emanuel, the CEO of Endeavor, joked that he would have, quote, body slammed Vince McMahon if he had thought he was going to leave following a sale, answering, oh my God, yes, when asked if he wanted to stick around. Later on, he said, I wasn't going to let him walk away, adding that it was an honor to have Vince McMahon stay because of what his vision for the business is and where it is going. I would argue that personally, I think Vince McMahon's vision for the business is a couple years dated. A couple, just a little bit.
Maybe a couple decades dated.
And I don't know what his vision of the future of WWE is going to look like. But what I like to see is UFC and WWE, and baby, Enochiism is back. Let's go. Let's get Josh Barnett out there. Let's get Bobby Lashley doing the MMA stuff out there. Let's get Brock Lesnar the title so that we have a MMA crossover, UFC crossover star with the WWE star, and they merge into Brock Lesnar. That seems like the right way to go. That's kind of the person.
We even talked about the fact that WWE and UFC are now one company.
Oh, they will be, yes.
That's insane.
Yes.
like we had no one's really talking about that because it's like we're on the wrestling side of things, so it's like the least of people's worries, right? Vince. But just take a step back. They're combining the biggest MMA promotion and the biggest pro wrestling promotion into one company.
Yeah.
That is gigantic. Like I don't know how many people that are listening or do listen to the show pay attention to UFC, but UFC, for all their faults, they do amazing pay-per-view numbers. They are able to make new stars. Now, maybe not to certain levels, and maybe that's much like WWE, but it's different because they push certain people and then they get knocked the fuck out, and it's like, oh well, shit, we tried. But these two companies being one, Dana White and Vince McMahon working in the same company, that is insane. It is just an insane truth, and that is what we have here. It won't. I don't know how much it'll really affect, day to day or anything, but I just wanted to say that because it's like you this doesn't just happen. Like people there's going to be advertisements for UFC and WWE within the same show.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's insane. We've seen that before, like when Brock was wrestling for UFC, when he went back the last time. But like that was just a little one-off thing. This is now, okay, we work together. We need to support each other at all times because we are one company. And that's crazy.
Oh, yeah. It is going to be one company. Vince McMahon, the executive chairman of both companies. Dana White, the president of UFC. Nick Khan, the president of WWE.
Nick Khan's just there to wave.
Boys. So let's talk about Nick Khan for a quick second, because I didn't really have this on my notes here, but I think he's an important part to talk about. I personally I think there's two routes for Nick Khan right now. Number one is, honestly, I don't know how much longer I see Nick Khan in this company. The man is
he got his job done.
Exactly. The man got the job done. He got the most amount of possible with what Vince McMahon wanted in terms of creative and all that other stuff out of WWE and selling the company. Once it is closed by the end of the year, I honestly do not know how much longer Nick Khan will stay in the company. He got the whale, right? He got the biggest paycheck he can get. How do you get a bigger paycheck? I mean, TV rights deals maybe, but that's going to happen this year. So he's going to do all these things to get a lot of money, but there's no more. What more can he do to get more money? You know, that's the thing about Nick Khan is what will he do to be able to get more money? Now, I think
find his next whale.
I think you're exactly right. I think there's two options. I think one is he finds a different whale to make the most amount of money possible in. Two, he's looking at that executive that corporate structure chart where it's like Ari Emanuel, Vince McMahon, yada yada yada, Endeavor people, UFC people, and then him at that bottom right corner and being like, I should be at the top left, and just like. I can see Nick Khan weaseling his way up to try to get, I don't know, part of Endeavor, you know, see what he can do with that, you know, he can only go up within the corporate structure of Endeavor at this point, or he will just straight up leave WWE and then it goes off and they'll need a new president.
I also wanted to talk about this. I was trying to like think of this because like, oh, they sold and they didn't sell to Saudi Arabia. This was still the better case scenario.
Correct. I totally believe that. Totally.
Like, no matter what, and no matter that Vince is back in power and stuff like that, this was still the better scenario of the two.
100%.
I hope everyone knows that. Now, because I think Vince was coming into power either way.
Agreed. I think a deal can only have been made if Vince was still in power.
Saudi was never not going to, they would be like, yeah, I don't care. What the hell were they going to know the difference?
Yeah.
Like, you know, this is the company that asked for Yokozuna, so it's like they don't give a shit.
They don't know what's happening. They don't know what's going on.
No, they just like, yeah, you left. What? That was probably the conversation. Wait a minute, you weren't around?
Yeah. Saudi Arabia is like your uncle that hasn't heard about wrestling in years and is like, how's Macho Man doing? Is he still doing great stuff out there? It's like, what are you talking about, man?
Well. Sure. Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. So, like, this is still the best case scenario in terms of they were going to sell and Vince was always going to be in power.
Yeah. Fully believe that.
So there you go there. I'm trying to give some brightness to this often darkness that is Vince McMahon and everything that he does.
There's some other possible brightness, and I think there's another brightness aspect to it all, to not being sold to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, the Switchblade's free, baby.
Well, we'll get to the Switchblade, but what I was going to talk about was that if Saudi Arabia bought the company, the TV rights deals would have been a way more interesting negotiation process. Obviously, if Saudi Arabia, if Live Golf have not really been that successful in trying to get U.S. television rights deals.
Are you telling me the CW isn't a success?
As someone that is coming off of a CW show, yes. It got bought for nothing. It just the new company took on all debts of the company. They were just trying to make money and lay off all this debt. So yeah, we'll see how that happens with that.
Me too.
Anyways, but the rights deal of Saudi Arabia would have been very interesting, and there would have been there could have been a real possibility that no American TV show would want WWE if it's involved with Saudi Arabia. I don't know how likely it is. I don't necessarily have a percentage, but I think there is a certain percentage where that is totally possible, where we wouldn't have a TV show for WWE. And maybe they would just have a streaming thing or something. I don't know how that would come out. But
I think they would have had a better shot.
I agree.
Their weekly live television,
especially compared to Live Golf. Yes,
right. Live Golf is bad.
Yeah, but now with UFC, they are in a way better position, and not just in better position, but you know, look at the Fox TV deal, right? How did they get that TV deal? It's because UFC left that deal. Well, now Fox has the option of going with UFC and WWE at the same time in terms of these TV deals. Everyone can get what they wanted.
It's pretty crazy.
UFC and WWE, when they have shows, and if they're smart about that, I don't think they'll be doing it, do not have to compete with each other in terms of live events. You know, WWE and UFC can always do that. Now they can just be like, oh yeah, if you want to book that, I don't know, let's say Labor Day weekend show, go for it. Who cares? You know, it's not WWE. You know what I mean? Like it's something that hurts hurts WWE or whatever a little bit, and now they don't have to worry about that. That's huge for them. There's more money coming in for both companies.
Yeah, it is. On a business side, this couldn't be better.
Mm-hmm.
On a wrestling side, this sucks. It's just because of Vince McMahon.
Yeah. When asked about the possibility of a TV rights increase, Ari Emanuel touted Raw and SmackDown's ratings increases. The key demos it appeals to, and how their rate card is quote way below market by a significant amount. He feels that with content being king and everything that WWE brings to the table, quote, I think they're going to be at a proper price for the next round of rights negotiation. Like we sort of talked about, it's not just that they are in a better position at rights deal. There is a better position that they're going to make way more money with a new rights TV deal, whatever that's going to look
It'd
like.
be interesting.
Could be interesting. There's also the aspect of streamers, in terms of once their Peacock deal is up, whether or not they, and I think that's a big concern for a lot of people, whether or not they combine with ESPN Plus, or conversely, go back to the pay-per-view model, which, as we know about in UFC, $70-$80 for pay-per-views. If the amount of pay-per-views WWE has, is that something that a average WWE fan or a new WWE fan that's been watching them for the past decade would want to suddenly spend $70-$80 a month, probably on top of the network content that's $10 a month?
I've always been under the idea that you should, if they were smart, they'd charge for their big four and then treat everything kind of like Impact specials, like Impact does.
Yes.
In that those are all free on, like, if you pay for their streaming service, you get them. But like if I had to pay extra money for WrestleMania, I'd get it, right?
Yeah.
Like it's WrestleMania. Or
People will still
Royal
buy
Rumble.
WrestleMania, yeah.
Yeah. And that way I wouldn't have to watch Peacock commercials. So maybe hear me out, people. It might not be the worst idea.
But I would counter with that saying, well, Nick Khan is still the president, and the most amount of money you can get is $70 shows every single time. Or at least do, like, I don't know, $35 shows for the smaller ones or something. And
that switch won't come anytime soon because they can't just like
no
do that.
No, the
So
Peacock
it's
deal
gonna
has
be
a
a
number of
while
years
to
left.
worry about that, but I wouldn't be shocked if that's ultimately where they go, one way or the other. Now, I don't think it'll be $70 because their shows aren't worth that. UFC shows aren't worth that either. But UFC's like you have the hardcore fans of UFC that will pay for that every single time and not even blink. So
yeah. Another aspect that I think we should also discuss is layoffs. The potential of layoffs. Nick Khan wouldn't
today's
rule it
Friday,
out.
right?
Today is Friday.
Something tells me, because every time we record, I feel like news happens after.
Yep. Nick Khan wouldn't rule him out. Endeavor's COO, Chief Operating Officer Mark Shapiro, on potential layoffs. Quote, anything from HR to finance to legal to communications, production to distribution and marketing, Shapiro said, across every area, you're going to find cost synergies. You're going to integrate and ultimately highlight and appoint the best and brightest teams, which is completely true. There are, especially with UFC and WWE, I would imagine that their marketing strategies and people that work in the company and all these sort of things and those various fields have a lot of crossover. There is no need to have that many people. There are going to be massive layoffs up and down. When would the massive layoffs happen? I think there's concern. Obviously, it happens now, but I think they're going to have to wait till the deals actually take place. So that will probably come at the end of the year. On the other hand, there's also the concern about wrestlers and how many of these wrestlers who, Triple H just brought back on, he snapped his fingers and a bunch of wrestlers appeared. How many of these wrestlers' jobs are at stake?
Bray Wyatt, you are screwed, my friend.
How many Lord directors' jobs are at stake? How many wrestlers' jobs are at stake? Is there maybe even, as we maybe will discuss later, maybe there's like a hiring freeze in terms of other wrestlers? Maybe they can't, especially big money contracts. Maybe they wouldn't be interested in, signing bigger guys because, well, we're going to probably fire you. We'll probably have to let you go later. I think there's massive concerns when it comes to layoffs. And if I was a wrestler in WWE, I honestly would be very concerned.
If I am a wrestler that they don't appreciate, I would be very concerned. I think that's the specific way of saying, because they're not going to go releasing Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins tomorrow, but they will go release Wrestler A and Wrestler B in the,
by
lower card.
by Wrestler
I'm not naming names.
No, but we can name names. Jagger Reed, Rip Fowler.
Well, yeah, we can name names because they said, "Can we get out?" And they said, "Yeah, see ya."
Yeah,
it was pretty easy. Now, I don't think they left because of the sale or anything. I think they left because they didn't want to be Jagger Reed and Rip Fowler anymore.
Yeah,
but
I think
like,
the sale helped make the decision even better. Like,
I'm not sure how much we'll actually talk about those two, so this will be my conversation about them. The Grizzled Young Veterans are going to be one hell of a tag team.
Yeah,
whether they go to New Japan Pro Wrestling or AEW or Ring of Honor.
Yeah,
those are the 3 spots they should be at because they're that good.
Yeah,
I
can't
wait for them to be a real tag team again.
I can't wait to see 60,000 strong in Wembley Stadium holding up their shoes and yelling at the Grizzled Young Veterans. That would be a great sight to see. And who knows? There's also been talks of like they're higher up. Fightful reported this, that there are like bigger roster named people that are very concerned and thinking about, oh, if it goes down this way, I might leave. We know right now that Drew McIntyre's contract is up. So who knows?
You can connect. I'm not going to name any names, but you can connect some dots on that one.
Can connect some dots. Who knows? Who knows? Any other thoughts, conversations we want to have about the UFC merger? I think in terms of business, this is obviously, I think, a great move for WWE. I think it goes without saying this is a great move for WWE. This is the most amount of money you can for that company. It will probably get them better TV rights deals. It will probably get them better money down the line in terms of pay-per-view deals, I think. For wrestlers in that company, I don't know, but I can say that the Vince McMahon advantage is back for the wrestling world, and free agent market at the end of this year or next year is going to be buck wild. It's going to be
AEW wins again, baby. The last thing I'll say is I am worried about the wrestlers. Everyone else can go to hell in that company as far as I'm concerned. Because pretty much everyone else made money, a lot of money this past week. I don't mean like the behind the scenes people. I'm going to feel bad for them too because they have no control either.
Sure.
Pretty much anyone that I consider talent.
Yeah. On screen,
I feel
talent.
bad for all of them. Yeah, on screen or like agents and I don't know, wardrobe people, and then like the itty bitty stuff that they will cut. I feel bad for them, but anyone higher up, I couldn't give a damn, including Mr. Triple H. He made plenty of money this past week, folks. Let's not listen. He may not have the book anymore, but he's not doing too bad. He's not doing too shabby.
You got a $2 million bonus for this.
Yeah, tough life.
Yeah,
fuck off.
Tough life. Hey, Triple H.
I believe I have to talk about WrestleMania night 2 still.
Triple H, 2024. There's never going to be a better time to start your own company, man. Just go for it. You got the bonus money. There's going to be a bunch of free agents that like you. Why not? Why not, Triple H?
If he gets someone to help back with him, game on. No, very much pun intended.
Let's talk about WrestleMania Night 2. We're not going to really go match by match.
I have 2 matches to talk about. I don't give a shit about anything else.
Okay, perfect. Let's talk. I think we talk about the main event first, of course. That is Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes. What a match, man. What a match.
I need to attack this match in 2 different ways. This is the first time I think I've talked about this match. It's pretty crazy.
If you look at Post Radio exclusive.
Yeah. If you talk about it just as the match itself, the atmosphere was sensational. Like, this was the biggest fight feel a WWE match has had. Like,
so
in
much
terms
heat.
of WrestleMania aspects.
Yeah.
In a very long time. Like, you couldn't, like, sometimes during matches in WWE, you can hear a pin drop. You couldn't hear shit. This was high energy. Every freaking move had top tier reactions.
Yep.
And it was the spectacle.
Yes.
At full display.
Yes.
And I thought that made the match so great. But Cody lost. Cody lost. And I realized
the man we've been building up to for a year.
And here's the worst part. I realized he was losing pretty early on. So my interest in the match started to deflate. and deflate and deflate. And the moment that I saw him back into that corner, I was like, he's not winning. That is not happening.
Yeah.
Gets the stupid Samoan spike, yada, 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 spear, see you later. And you could, after that, hear a pin drop. This was it. This was the chance. I stand by that. You could do Cody at SummerSlam. You do whatever the fuck you want at SummerSlam. I don't care. This was your shot.
Yeah.
This was everything perfectly coming together, even more than Sami Zayn in Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
And you blew it. Cody was the guy to win this belt. But at the end of the day, it's WWE versus AEW. And you know in their brain, we can't let that happen. I brought it up. Sting and Triple H. Should Sting win that match 10 times out of 10? You're goddamn right. But did he? No, because it was WWE versus WCW. That's the same thing here. And I do think that matters. As much as anyone wants to say, oh, this was in the plans, 1,000 days, yada, 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 it still matters. The AEW part still matters. This man created a company to compete against the company he's now main eventing WrestleMania for. He is their biggest star. Doesn't matter. But now you set yourself up to fail. Now the crowd can turn on him. Now they're not going to be as lively for him. Sure, you put him against a heel Brock Lesnar, and they're probably going to have a great match. Doesn't matter. I don't give a shit. It's over.
Still
you had your shot.
Still going to be a good
over.
program. Still going to be a good program.
Yeah, it's going to be a good program. I'm sure the road back to the moment's going to be great and dandy. But listen, you had your shot, and you blew it.
Yeah. I at one point in time, I would have come on here maybe and been that guy to be like, I'm slightly okay with the decision in terms of booking of all that stuff, because it's like, okay, how am I going to be the guy that comes on here and says for the Ring of Honor show to have 2 matches end in disappointment, and be like, oh, you have to let the story play out, and then not say that for the Cody Rhodes thing. I was at one point in time, I was going to be that guy and be like, oh, how can you not be? And I hate those sort of people who have finished the story, but kind of what is going to be happening here is, it's to finish the story. That's the same sentiment's going to continue.
Yeah.
But just the fallout of it all, seeing Raw and the fallout of everything, it's just it's harmful. Now I should say, the fallout of Cody Rhodes is not only bad, but also I understand the decision in terms of what the story they're trying to tell is. I also think that decision is a bad idea, because what it does is several things. One, has the potential, and we'll find this out later, probably a month from now or so, to hurt your biggest star's credibility and hurt his merch sales and hurt all this other stuff following this main event loss. It has the chance to hurt your biggest star in the company instead of make him even bigger. It definitely shows a ceiling to any AEW outside people. It would, you know how great it would have been for any other AEW wrestler to watch Cody Rhodes win that title and be like, oh, okay, I am a star. I can go to WWE and win the world title at WrestleMania. Oh yeah, then maybe I'll consider living that dream out and going to WWE. Now we saw a ceiling on pay-per-view on Peacock of what that actually means. It means you can get here, but you will not win it. There's no way.
If anyone's got a clue yet, MJF ain't leaving.
No. If I'm MJF, I would not leave, because he will lose.
I have thought for a long time he's already re-signed anyways. So.
Yeah. And MJF is also like slightly smaller than Cody too, and Vince is not going to like that. He could get a shit ton of money. Look at Jay White. Jay White's, I think, smaller than Cody as well. But like,
Cody's a big dude.
But like, it's that thing. It's like, Vince is not going to like these smaller guys coming in. Who cares how big they are? They're not going to win the title. They're not going to do that. So it hurts the credibility. It hurts outside people, and it hurts your chance in terms of negotiation power, I would argue. I do think there is a story that they're actively doing, but then they come on Monday Night Raw and just have Brock destroy the guy for seemingly no reason, just destroy the guy. And then Cody does his classic Cody theatrics and looks like a goofball. And so whether or not the company destroys credibility or whether or not Cody's theatrics destroys a little bit of his credibility, you come out of it. And before the weekend, you said at the top of the show, 24 hours, 72 hours or whatever, Cody was the biggest thing in wrestling. Coming out of Monday, he looks like the biggest goof, and he looks like a dweeb. He looks like a jag. He looks like any of these derogatory names you can think of. He does not look like a star coming out of Monday Night Raw right now.
No, and maybe this is wishful thinking. I think he'll be okay because WWE fans don't turn on people as much as, say, the AEW fan necessarily.
Sure.
But you're not going to have as much interest now, I think, come SummerSlam as you did come Sunday night.
Yeah.
Just overall from wrestling fans. And I think that was a big loss. I do. But, it is what it is. It's WWE. It's going to be shit anyways with Vince back on top. So what do I give a shit anymore? They should have finished the story. This was your one time to finish a story.
Yeah.
But whatever. We're better off not talking about it.
Yeah, it's very frustrating.
I'm more worried about?
What's that?
Gunta.
Gunta, baby.
Because Vince hates Gunta, and this man has been phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. If I'm not mistaken, Dave Meltzer gave this match 5 stars. Gunther, Drew McIntyre, and Sheamus.
He gave 2 5 stars, if I'm not mistaken, for WrestleMania.
Ooh, baby.
I think he gave the Mania Night 1 Mania Night 5 as well.
That makes sense. That would make sense. He didn't give the KSI spot 5 stars? No?
I don't think so.
I know you love this match. Gunther, here's your platform, sir. Let's talk about Gunther, Drew McIntyre, and Sheamus for the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania.
It's so hard to talk about WWE right now because, it's all not going to matter.
I know, and I get that. And that's also...
Simon, pick a meaty man, Simon meets repeatedly.
You were talking so loud that you were blowing it out.
You thought I was fully gone. You thought I was fully out of it, and you're like, "Oh, tell this." And you were right. Yeah, I was actually telling the truth.
You are right. Everything matters less following.
Everything matters less. But for one night only, Big E got to book himself a match. And Big E said, we're putting the meat in there, and we're letting them slap on the WrestleMania stage. Let them slap each other. And they slapped. And I'm not going to do that anymore because it's making me uncomfortable. But, yeah, I love this. I think it's one of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time in terms of just the simple quality. I think Gunther is unbelievable. He's like one of the true all-time greats. This man has been able to walk into WWE, whether it be NXT, NXT UK, or the main roster, and put on debatably their match of the year every single year since he's walked in. That's insane.
Yeah.
This guy, when he walked into WWE, if you looked at him, you said, no chance in hell this guy's going to make it. And he has done the damn thing. Credit to him. Sheamus is great. Drew McIntyre is great. Drew McIntyre deserves a lot better. Maybe he'll get a lot better eventually. I think he's the type of guy, you want to talk about it real quick? I think he'd make a big splash in AEW because he's very different from every top star they have. Because he's humongous.
Yes.
And he's a good worker.
Yes.
I would love him there.
And he main evented a show in the UK before.
And they didn't finish that story either. Anyways, but yeah, no, I love this. It's exactly what I want it to be. That's what this match was. I couldn't have asked for them to do anything else. It was like 15 minutes slapping meat. Literally, I think they chopped each other like the entire time.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And I just broke my headphones, so give me 1 second.
It was certainly a great match. I think the only other the only other thing I want to talk about beyond those matches is how hard I laughed, sort of in a dark humor way, about the Shane McMahon return. That was probably the best, like, I don't know, 10 minutes of television I've ever seen in my life. Just like, it sucks so bad for him, but it was so funny, man. It was the man. We do the whole gimmick again. The Miz is, Miz is hurt or whatever, doesn't want to wrestle again because it was a 2-on-1 handicap match against Pat McAfee and George Kittle. And then Shane McMahon makes his return. Shane McMahon, the guy that tried to book himself to win the Royal Rumble, last we saw him, comes back into the company. He wrestles. He does one drop down, gets up, destroys his leg, cannot wrestle, and then you got the cameraman telling Snoop Dogg to punch Miz. He does it because Snoop Dogg's the greatest worker today. He does it. Miz goes down. They do the spot again, which I'll detract the greatest worker, I guess, actually, because you don't repeat spots. You don't do the punch again. Then you got the referee saying do the people's elbow. You got Miz saying cover him, and one of the biggest, like, holy shit, what moments, the most surreal moments. Shane McMahon just walks back. No one acknowledges him. Commentary is like, oh yeah, Snoop just beat him in a match. That's what happened. It's insane. The most surreal moment I've ever seen.
I had like the biggest eye roll when I heard "Here Comes the Money."
Me too. I was like, whoa, what?
I was like, really?
Yeah.
And then the guy jumped and destroyed everything in his leg, and I've never laughed more at someone getting hurt, and I feel so bad.
Me too.
But I was like, oh,
it was just perfectly comedically timed.
Yeah, it's. And credit to Snoop and Miz, but yeah, I'm done talking about WrestleMania and WWE. I've had enough. Yeah. I've had enough this week. I'm done. Yeah. I'm done.
I was hoping for us to get more into WrestleMania, but Vince McMahon kind of ruined it, like you said.
Yeah, let's talk about NWA 300, whatever the fuck.
I think that show is this weekend.
I think it's tonight.
Oh.
I think your boy Tyrus is defending the title.
I hope not. I'm gonna look into that. But let's talk about a fumbled bag that WWE also potentially had. Jay White, as we saw, as open up AEW, the Jay White watch is over. Because Jay White opened up the show of AEW Dynamite this past week. It has been confirmed via a Twitter graphic, that Jay White is All Elite. And Fightful Select then reported on the details of his contract, saying that it was, in fact, a multi-year deal that was signed before WrestleMania 39. Didn't say exactly when, if I'm not mistaken, it was signed before WrestleMania, but it was signed
the day before.
Yeah, it could have been the day before, it could have been a month before, who the hell knows. But he was signed to AEW, and he showed up here. I like to think he was signed back to when this Juice Robinson stuff all started, when this feud started, and we started with the Bullet Club logo, and then Juice attacked from behind. And then we had Jay White attack from behind this past Wednesday. So yes, Jay White, officially part of AEW. WWE felt like they had him. They were confident they'll land him. Along the way, they were told that Triple H and William Regal showed interest in Jay White. However, WWE higher-ups said that the company, quote, failed to communicate properly along the process, before noting that AEW landing him over WWE was what could have been product of Vince McMahon's return from the lack of main roster hires since then. So possibly Vince McMahon not allowing to hire any more people. Jay White not be able to really talk to WWE about it all, and just settled on AEW. So fumbled bag there, I would argue. I think Jay White would have been perfect in WWE. It would have worked well. I'm glad we see him in AEW because I think that's still a fresh spot for him, and we'll see how it goes.
I can't even explain to you folks how enjoyable it was. And when I say enjoyable, I mean painful it was, trying to follow the Jay White saga. But as I like to say, sometimes silence can be much louder, and him not doing anything and us not hearing anything, to me, only further confirmed he was going to AEW.
Yeah.
He waited. Vince started to creep back in, and that's when it all changed. Mm-hmm. That is when it all changed. My hunch and maybe I've heard some things over the past month or so. But my hunch was that AEW became the favorite um, a while ago, and we all win for that. Truthfully, we do. And anyone that's there's some people out there that are like, oh, I think he might have actually was just expecting to sign WWE. Yeah, no shit. New Japan wouldn't have written him off in every single way if he wasn't going to WWE.
In a classic,
that was his destination.
In a classic way that New Japan always writes off people going to WWE.
That was his destination, and people can go as far as they want, saying, "Oh, well, Ryan, the higher ups weren't." No, just accept Jay White didn't want to go there. That's what happened. The higher ups did it. Yeah, that's them trying to sound like they didn't fully lose out on Jay White. No, they blew it once Vince McMahon started to creep back in. That's what happened. I don't want to hear it. Jay White knows his worth, but he also knows that he's not dealing with the crotchety old man that's going to have him literally like wearing a knife costume. Like that's not happening. That's not happening. This couldn't be a better spot for Jay White, because now Jay White gets to be refreshed, but still Jay White. That's very important. His return or debut or whatever you want to call it on Wednesday was great because it was instant. He instantly put himself over. There was an actual pop because that building stunk on Wednesday. But that was an actual pop that he got, so credit to him. You now have what I think is the best heel in professional wrestling in this company, and MJF.
And BCC.
And BCC, that's true. You have three forces now who can be top heels moving forward.
Yeah.
In all different ways. Well, I'm already excited because we have Jay White and Juice Robinson, buddy, of course, because they're Bullet Club. But at the same time, it's like, well, Jay can't do New Japan anymore, so it'll be really fun to see how they work around that. New Japan should have a good time because Jay White is going to be back in a New Japan ring eventually someday. It'll be fun to see how they do that. But I couldn't be happier. There are so many more exciting opponents and exciting matchups for Jay White in AEW. He would have been perfect either place. But this is the place I want him to go, especially once Vince started to creep back.
At Kane, and then a bunch of numbers, 430892889, whatever. Do you think TK will pay to use the BC, I assume Bullet Club, or just finally let it die? I will sort of answer that question, Kane, and say no. I don't think he'll let it die. I don't think he controls Bullet Club.
He needs to pay for it either.
And he also already showed the logo and played the music a couple weeks ago.
They showed the logo this week when he walked out.
I think if anything, and I'll sort of answer the question via this next question from XX Ichiban. They're doing their kind of offshoot, maybe own version at XX.
They're literally doing their own symbol.
Yes,
like with the gun thing.
At XX Ichiban asked, Jay White and Juice Robinson noticeably didn't do the too sweet on Dynamite. Do you think we see Jay White properly confront BC and David Finlay since he's in a partnered company, or are they going to go in a firmly different direction like the various Los Ingonables offshoots? I think it's going to be an offshoot company. You still have that Bullet Club connection. He is seemingly still a part of Bullet Club. He just cannot wrestle in New Japan. His only interaction with that roster is going to be through Forbidden Door shows. And Juice. He's not working strong or anything like that. So he will just be working that way. I think it's going to be an offshoot. That hand signal they're doing was an original Bullet Club hand signal with Finn all the way back to Prince Devitt. So I think they're trying to return to the roots, I guess, of what Bullet Club was, which ultimately evolved and basically became AEW. I do think there was no doubt in my mind that Bullet Club or a faction of Bullet Club was going to be a part of AEW. I think it was just a matter of time. AEW's legacy of a company is like intrinsically linked to the Bullet Club faction. So I think there is no doubt in my mind that there was going to be some form of the company. I don't think the Elite really was a form of a form of Bullet Club. I think Bullet Club proper, Jay White, Juice Robinson. Maybe we'll get some people. Maybe there'll be some AEW roster members that join AEW Bullet Club. We'll see what happens there.
So that's what I was going to talk about. I do think that does happen eventually. I did have this like funny idea that Bullet Club US would be like Jay White, Juice, Ace, and Chris Bay, and I was like, automatically he has the better Bullet Club.
Yeah, automatically.
Which he already almost does with just him and Jay, with him and Juice, anyways. I think we will get the Jay White, David Finlay something eventually.
Yeah,
just not anytime soon.
yes,
I think because he's going to tell us his stories now in AEW as he should. But let's just I think we could do the whole like WWE didn't get Jay White. Blah, blah, blah. They just added a 30-year-old multi-time world champion.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not act like that's just some small deal, folks.
Yeah.
They added a bona fide main event star who is going to have incredible matches and just absolutely light it up. And I can't wait. Also, this man, I think I've said this multiple times on the show that he's in the shape of his life. He's in the shape of his life. He is such a star. I'm so excited for what's next. Sure, he can run through Ricky Starks first. I don't give a shit. That's fine. If Ricky Starks is the first guy to get ran through, that's okay. I wouldn't have him lose for a while, like lose as in clean for a while. I think you gotta appreciate what Jay White is, and that's a top star. So maybe you have him win the Owen.
That should be starting up soon, right?
Yeah, it ends at Double or Nothing, so it should kick off one of these next few weeks. You'd think
that would make sense for him to win the Owen. I think that's a good spot for him to.
It's what they did with Adam Cole last year to keep him busy, and I don't know. Maybe that's how you make Jay White and Ricky Starks make sense. Have them in the final.
Ooh, that makes sense. That's a possibility.
They gotta do that.
I think that makes sense because then you could also showcase his importance, give him a title, sort of thing. Give him a title, quote unquote. That's not a bad idea at all. AEW also announced during the show via Adam Cole, via Tony Khan, via Nigel McGuinness that AEW is having another show, a Sunday show, Sunday, August 27th, happens to be a week before All Out. They are reviving the All In brand and having a All In show, pay-per-view, streaming special on the new HBO Max Discovery. I don't know. In London, England. That's right. They're finally going to London, England. And the stadium they're taking it in is Wembley Stadium. Capacity of 90,000. It's in the top 15 biggest stadiums in the world. Wembley Stadium. If they sold out Wembley Stadium, big if they sold out Wembley Stadium, that attendance would be higher than one night of WrestleMania from the one announced, which we know is not real, pay-per-view attendance for WrestleMania from this year. This will be and has the potential to be breaking records for the biggest show in AEW history.
All right, listen, folks. They're not going to sell this out.
No.
It's just not going to happen. We got to start there.
I think there are a couple things that have to happen to be close to a sellout.
That being, yes, and we'll kind of talk about that. Mm-hmm. That being said, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They don't need to sell this out.
No.
Because as Dave Meltzer said on Twitter, 30,000 is a great number.
Yeah.
A third of this stadium is a great number.
Yes.
And I think they can push 50. I truly do. Now, the fun part of All In is that we get to play the game of how the I won't say the full word, are they going to fill this stadium?
Yeah.
Because You need a lot to connect. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people excited. I've already heard from multiple people, whether they're based in the US, Ireland, Norway, England. There are a lot of people excited for the show and going to this show. They've already booked their hotels. They've already done all of that early. So they're going to have a great number based off of overall excitement.
Yeah.
But you want to pack that stadium. You need a few major matches, folks. And Jamie Hayter versus Saraya isn't going to be the ultimate end-all be-all, despite both of them being from England.
And not just big matches, Scotty. Enough big matches to then follow it up a week later when they are, and as confirmed via Anthony Bowens for some reason, All Out is a week after this show.
Yeah.
Now I think
I don't know what they're doing.
A concern about capacity. Earlier this week, Tony Khan was asked about running sort of a WrestleMania weekend style event, right? Tony Khan responded saying that, we could do a weekend event. We can make it a week-long affair like they kind of did in Canada. Do you think All In is night one of a week-long affair, including Dynamite, Rampage, and I don't know, let's pick All Out, Craven Cottage to end their week affair in England?
No, I think All Out stays in Chicago.
Here we go.
I would be shocked if All Out leaves Chicago. I think All Out might hit the United Center now. I think they might be willing to go bigger than the Sears Center, and I think you have to after running the freaking Wembley Stadium the week before. But
will this also be their? If I'm not mistaken, I think this is going to be like their biggest, not just the biggest show. Would this be the first time they're running a stadium? I'm trying to think. Right? Yeah.
Absolutely, it is. I thought they'd hit maybe a baseball park.
Yeah,
in the States first before. Because, Cody used to talk about like the one in Milwaukee and stuff like that. I thought that was going to be how we gradually get to a stadium. And then they just said, we're going for Wembley. Oh, okay. Sounds good.
And also we have to talk about aggressiveness in a new marketplace. This is the most aggressive take I've ever seen. I love when promoters get aggressive like this. Let's do it. I'm excited for it.
Do not do Dynamite and Rampage don't do it around the show.
Just do the show and then leave.
Just do this show because that's how you pack that building. People are going to be the one thing I cannot stand about both AEW and WWE is they do way too many shows in the same city with their biggest events. The biggest event should be the biggest event. Why are we, and now that AEW's moved on from this, but there's a time there where Dynamite, Rampage, and All Out, for example, are all happening in the same arena.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
And ticket sales showcase that, like, especially like Rampage ticket sales when they were live were not as good compared to anyways. Right. Dynamite was okay. Obviously the pay-per-view did big ticket sales. Dynamite did pretty good. Rampage did not do good.
You'll tire a crowd out, and you should never tire a crowd out before your pay-per-view. That's just me, though. I know, money-wise and set-wise, it's all easier, but you should always be about the best experience. Now, 90,000 person stadium, Ryan.
Yes.
How do you fill this? Well,
I think there's a couple people.
There's one that comes to mind. He's a certain gentleman by the name of CM Punk.
I can see why they want to bring him back into the company. I can see why they want to bring him to the company.
Yeah, I've never seen a show more to me confirm that a guy's walking back in this one. Because I was like, well, they can't do this show without CM Punk.
No,
they can. They can try. They can. But CM Punk's a few thousand at least extra, right? Yeah. There's the match side, and you said you had some more people. Oh, Goldberg.
That'd be wild. I think Sting, last match Sting.
That
could be good.
That's what I thought instantly when I saw the poster.
I think if let's say there was maybe like a WWE guy that left the company that might be coming up. Maybe a WWE guy that formerly main evented a UK show there.
Oh, do you mean Drew McIntyre?
No, I mean Drew Galloway. That's who I
Oh,
mean.
I was hoping you meant Walter.
No. I meant I meant Tyson Fury. That's who I meant.
Ah,
But
yes.
I think that is someone that could help them. I don't know how. I don't think Drew McIntyre is that much of a draw, but I think if you're going to the UK, he could help.
I don't think he'll be there in time.
It depends. It depends. The contract stuff's happening now, so there's a chance that he leaves at
It
AEW.
says later this year, so that could be.
Oh, really?
July,
I thought it was.
June.
I thought it was earlier.
No, it's June, July, August, September, October, November, December.
And the show being in August, that's rough. It'd have to happen like June-ish, right?
Yeah. Well, if his contract runs out, it could be literally the day before.
That is true. You're right, because this is a contract running out. This is not he's getting fired. He can just do it. He can do it the day before.
I wouldn't be shocked if they released him and said, "Ha, you can't go now."
If I was WWE, that'd be a smart move. Maybe he has something in his contract where he makes money off of that.
You probably can't do that with like a day left.
No.
Yeah, we're actually gonna release you.
Yeah, that would suck. Yeah, no. I mean, this is a huge event, very aggressive in the new in the England in the new space.
I didn't even say just
UK space for AEW. This is gonna be huge. They need to bring people in for this show. I don't think the current crop of roster is enough to sell out the show. Maybe it's enough to get enough of a show. It depends on matches. I think there's a good chance we see New Japan involvement. Will William Ospreay be okay by then? Who knows? I don't know.
Yes.
I think if you're AEW, you bring in Minoru Suzuki because he's weirdly huge in England.
We went from Omega Ospreay 2 being the Forbidden Door match to almost needing it to be the All-In match.
Yeah, he's definitely not gonna be able to do it for Forbidden Door. So looks like Wembley Stadium it is.
He's gonna be ready by Forbidden Door.
Do you think? I thought he wasn't gonna be ready.
It was 6 to 8 weeks.
Oh, you're right. It was like right before. It was like right before. Yeah. I think 8 weeks.
And you could sell that match, though. I would wait now. I would do All-In.
Or maybe you do Omega Ospreay 3 at Wembley.
Yeah, that's why. Like when I tweeted out the ideas, that was one of them. I thought maybe Omega Danielson 2. I thought the Young Bucks FTR 3.
Yep.
I'm thinking Jamie versus Britt or Saraya.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of all like the big matches that can make this card as big as possible.
But then how much of this stuff are you saving for All Out?
Well, that's the thing. I think what All In should be is the show that you include a lot of the outside companies that you work with. And that because that's what All In was a super indie, right? With everyone coming together from New Japan, AAA,
NWA,
Ring of Honor. Like it was everyone coming together. And I think that's kind of how you can embody what All In is, and then All Out is AEW. So maybe you don't have an AEW world title match on this show, and you just save it for All Out. If it's presumably it's MJF, right?
Yes.
Let's just assume All Out it's MJF.
Yeah.
Now, keeping your world champion off the biggest show you ever do, that you can't do. But you cannot do you can do maybe a tag team match, something of the sort, right? I thought maybe MJF versus Hangman was pretty big singles. Now you have the idea of Kenny Omega versus Jay White.
Yep.
Which has always been a big one.
Yep.
It's bigger now because both of them have grown so much more.
Yep.
And this one came into my brain. I don't think it's happening because I think New Japan would be stupid to let it happen anywhere else. But you always have Omega and Okada 5.
I don't know about Omega Okada 5.
That match will happen.
Yeah.
But New Japan would be stupid to let it happen anywhere else besides their ring.
At Kyle Criley asks, how do you guys hope they handle All In, All Out, seemingly back-to-back weekends? I want to give a shout-out because we're basically already answering that question. And where they won't book feuds well since they're back-to-back, would you circumvent that with other company involvement in All In? Intrigued by your thoughts. I sort of, what you talked about and what Kyle talked about here, I like the idea of circumventing that with other company involvement and doing AEW All Out, being All Out AEW. I could see New Japan involvement here. I could see maybe we do a Rev Pro title match on this show. I don't know. You get some indies involved, right? You had NWA involved last time. They're a big indie. Get a Rev Pro involved. They're the biggest indie, I would say.
What the hell is Rev Pro going to give you? Will Ospreay?
Great. I'll take it. I'll take Will Ospreay. You know what I mean? Like things like that where it's like, okay, we can do that as like a big old title match. Maybe
gun to your head, what's the main event? What would your main event be?
CM Punk FTR versus the Elite. That's my main event.
I would just do CM Punk and Kenny.
I think you do the faction first, personally. Because then you can have.
I'm just trying to think, like, by then, where are we? Because Blackpool Combat Club could still be going on by then too.
That's true. That is true. I'm not saying that isn't true. Well, I mean,
just based off of how Tony books,
they're on their pathway. The Elite BCC, they're on their pathway to do the Blood Games,
Anarchy.
blood Anarchy in the Arena and or War Games match thing.
Yeah, it's funny how Blood and Guts went from being the women's feud to like definitely feeling like it's not anymore.
Yeah, BCC really that promo from Danielson is so good. Yeah, no, I don't know. I think you're tough. I think the best bet you can do is, I mean, they even talked about in the announcement that it was like the biggest independent show of all time. It is AEW branded. It's also celebrating Warner Brothers, 100 years of Warner Brothers, and it may be on their streaming service. So I don't necessarily know if Warner Brothers would allow like other stuff to be in there. Maybe they want their stuff front and center. I don't know. But let's say they have New Japan involved. Let's say, whatever, they do Forbidden Door first and then they can spin it off into like a Forbidden Door shoe. I think the other big thing that is the discussion point is that this is potentially their 6th pay-per-view in the year, in the calendar year. And I think that is a huge thing. This company,
I've asked for more pay-per-views.
This company is constantly growing month by month, man.
The only problem is they're all so close now. The way they don't have it spread out like I wanted it to. Now we have back-to-back weeks. We got Forbidden Door like 4 weeks after Double or Nothing. Yeah, so I'm happy that there's more. It's just maybe we can rework how we do this. But All In being back is very cool. I actually got chills when I heard All In because I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
Do you think Stephen Amell will come back and wrestle?
I don't want him to.
They'll do Jack.
He's Cody's friend.
They'll do Jack Whitehall instead, and he'll wrestle or something.
So I'm gonna be bold. This is my last bold thing. I do think CM Punk is going to be on the show, but that's not bold anymore. That's like no shit. I think Kota Ibushi will be on the show.
You said Danielson Omega, and I thought to myself, Danielson Ibushi. I think let's just do the main event again. Let's do Young Bucks and Kota Ibushi versus Bandito, Phoenix, and Rey Mysterio, Hall of Famer Rey Mysterio. Let's get him back in the company.
Let's just do that again, but we'll get the full match.
We'll go half speed this time.
I'm still upset about that.
Yeah, the huge event, undoubtedly huge event. Very much excited.
You have to get Okada on that show.
Gotta get Okada on that show, wrestling somebody who will be around in wrestling for another year or two.
You do Danielson.
That's possible. That'd be huge. Let's move on. Speaking about New Japan, let's talk about Sakura Genesis happening this weekend. Another big show for New Japan this weekend. We got the full card ahead of us. A bunch of the top talent stuff. Let's start off the top, just going real quickly through all the multi-man tags that no one really cares about. No offense. There is a Shinichi Champion Grand Prix celebration match Participants will be revealed when they make their entrance. So who knows what's happening with that. Francisco and Kira, and Hanare, and Jeff Cobb versus Sho, Yujiro Takahashi, and Evil. Third match, Bushi, Shingo Takagi, Tetsuya Naito versus Doki, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and Taichi. Fourth match, Master Wato, Hikuleo, and Tamatonga versus El Phantasmo Kenta and David Finlay. And now that we got that out of the way, let's get into it, baby. Fifth match on the show, IWGP Women's Championship match. It's a three-way. I believe it's pronounced AZM. I believe that's how it's pronounced. Versus Hazuki versus Mercedes Moné.
This is Gato. You listen to me, buddy. I'm coming for you. All I ask for is 10 minutes. That's all I'm asking for. Give me 10 minutes of this match. You can cut the fat from your shitty pre-match tags, okay? Like you can cut the fat from those. Those don't have to be 8 minutes long, okay?
Yeah.
Give these three at least 10 minutes and just let them go out there and put on a show.
Let them cook.
Let them cook. There aren't enough Mercedes Moné matches. There just aren't. Okay. So let me enjoy this. And now, thank you to Vince McMahon. I think there will be plenty more Mercedes Moné matches. That being said, there still isn't enough. So let me enjoy this. I'm very excited about this.
Yeah.
I'm going to be emotional after this match is over because I'm going to have the official graphic get posted eventually. And then I'm going to be like, oh, shit, I have to retire. But anyways, this is going to be great. Mercedes Moné is winning. But this is going to be great.
Mercedes Moné undoubtedly going to win. Basically, and then challenge, or should be challenged by Mayu Iwatani later. I am very interested to see how great this match is, how potentially great this match is. My ceiling is very high of this match, and
it just depends on time.
I think it also really compares with down the line with we're going to be comparing potentially a Mercedes Moné match against an Okada singles match. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, that's where I'm like, okay, we're going to be comparing it to like the possible match. It's a match of the night contender, folks. There's no way around it.
The only way I think it's not that level again is because of time.
I think legitimately, I would love 10 minutes. I think there's a chance it will be there's a solid chance it's sub 10 minutes.
Oh, very good chance.
They are already hyping it up of, I can do fast matches. Azumi, you're great with, high speed title matches, obviously. So, we can do short matches. It's a three-way. So, my classic thing of they should be short anyways. They should be shorter than usual anyways. I think
it's still shorter than usual.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's still a very good chance it's sub 10 minutes, maybe 7 or 8. I think there's a very good chance it's going to be like that, which will be disappointing. But I think with the participants involved, it will be a great 8-minute, 10-minute, whatever schmoz.
Oh, I'm ready to give it way too many stars. It's
okay. New Japan World TV. Before we go, I have a question about this. Intrigued by thoughts. This is from @Kyle Criley. Intrigued by thoughts on the IWGP Women's Championship match post Sakura Genesis / Yokohama Arena. Do you think it'll stay a showcase title on big New Japan events and occasional US shows? Is that enough? What changes would you like to see, if any?
I do think it'll remain that. Changes? I mean, better treatment on the New Japan
side of things.
Yeah. New Japan in Japan shows.
Yes.
I should say. Because it got great treatment on Battle in the Valley. It was the longest match of the night.
Yep.
That was great. It's more of that. I'm not asking for a 26-minute match. I'm asking for 15 to 20. That's all I'm asking for.
Yes.
I think that's a very simple timed match.
Yeah.
And what do I want, like, adjustment wise? Like, I don't think it should be defended a ton. I don't, because I think it's a special title, and the Stardom roster is a busy roster. It's not like it's not like they're not doing stuff every single weekend. They are. They run more than New Japan in terms of, like, they don't do tours like New Japan does. They just keep running every single week. And I think that does matter. In terms of the US shows, I only have it on the big ones.
Yeah.
I've saw some people say like, "Oh, well, you know, they could bet Capital Collision." I was like, I don't know. It's not as big as Battle in the Valley. It hasn't been
No.
presented that way in any way. That's why you're doing a tag title match in the main event.
When I was looking up the one of which there's only one card announced for one of these shows. The other show has like 3 matches announced. The other thing is when I was looking up the cards, Scotty, legitimately, I was like, maybe we shouldn't talk about the Collision shows because maybe they're just like a Strong taping. And then I forgot, oh yeah, Strong doesn't exist anymore. This is how little I thought of these shows. I was like, oh yeah, it's just a sort of weekend, it's just taping or whatever. No, these are actual shows. These are legitimate shows. But I totally agree with you. They're not hyped up enough compared to like Battle in the Valley at all.
No. Only on like Battle in the Valley. Capital Collision was a big show last year, but it's not this year.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what they're called. Strong Style Evolved, I guess. Maybe that'll be a big one again.
Yeah.
That was a big one once upon a time. Like only the big ones in the US. And don't get me wrong, I'd love to see the IWGP Women's Champion, whoever it may be, here in the US more.
Yeah.
But if it's on a Stardom wrestler that's full time, which it hasn't been yet, I'm fine with it being periodically.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it will be. I mean, it will obviously be eventually.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be very interesting to see how long. I think you're right in saying that, like, especially with like Vince McMahon gone, how long Mercedes' reign is going to be.
Have I said my Mercedes Moné spiel on the show?
You've made spiels before about Mercedes Moné. I don't know what is specifically.
Have I said that she has given us the roadmap to what her run is going to be?
I don't recall, but give it to us anyways.
So for anyone that remembers, she showed up, of course, at Wrestle Kingdom, and she talks about Azumi, Miyu Yamashita, blah, 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 blah. Guess what match she's getting this weekend, folks? Azumi. Okay, check one. And why her Bushi Road schedule is ending at the Yokohama Arena show for Star. Okay. Why may that be? And this is all theory. But how else is she going to get the Miyu Yamashita match if she's working for Bushi Road? She can't. So, TJPW has some big shows, potentially a Summer Sun Princess show or something like that. Could be where she goes and gets that match. And then what has she started to talk about recently, finally? All Elite Wrestling. She has started to talk about. If the Miyu Yamashita match happens, I'm 100% sold that the roadmap that she's laid out is as real as it gets. Because she's gotten the Azumi match. Azumi wouldn't be challenging for the IWGP Women's Championship if Mercedes Moné didn't go out of her way to say, I want that match. I think Mercedes Moné is going to get whatever the hell she wants. And that's perfectly fine because she's Mercedes Moné. There's only one Mercedes Moné. And I think there is a roadmap to her success.
Mm-hmm.
And AEW / Bushi Road's probably the new end game. Hopefully more Bushi Road than we've seen because I think she's been great already. But we'll have to wait and see.
And we didn't mention her at the time, but Jamie Hayter versus Mercedes Moné at All In Wembley Stadium sounds pretty good.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty big one. Hey, that's a funny thing. Like, you would think that Forbidden Door would involve a big match between the IWGP champion and someone from the roster.
I don't know if we'll get Mercedes there. I think, with no knowledge, I think it's more likely we have like Kyrie challenge for the AEW title.
That's what I think too. That's what I think once Kyrie started talking about it being a free agent, which he always was.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. I think Kyrie's probably your most likely representative.
Yeah, and there's as we know from interviews, there's a number of people that want to wrestle Jamie Hayter. I mean, practically every women's wrestler wants to wrestle Jamie Hayter. So,
well, helps when someone only asks about Jamie.
Next match, sixth match, New Japan World TV Title match: Zack Sabre Jr. versus Shota Umino.
This should rock.
It should be
50
good.
minutes,
But
50-minute little blast here. I liked their New Japan Cup match a lot, and this will be shorter, so I should like it more.
I think Shota Umino needs a shorter match right now, so I'm glad he's getting it here.
Yeah, this poor guy.
Yeah.
Poor guy. I don't know why they were like, hey, you need to do 45 minutes with Tetsuya Naito, but I will not be forgetting that anytime soon.
Yeah. IWGP Tag Team title match. Yoshihashi and Hiroki Goto are defending their titles against Kyle Fletcher, Mark Davis, Aussie Open. Yes, go ahead.
The women's match doesn't get enough time, I think this is your favorite for match of the night.
Oh, 100%. I think there's a good chance.
Killer. And I would crown new champions. I think it's time. It's time that the Aussies are on top. It's been... I've had enough waiting for them to win top titles. I've had enough. They had the New Japan Strong titles for like 2 seconds, and then they lost them. Aussie Open, to me, right now, is the best tag team in professional wrestling. Not one of the best, the best.
Yes.
Every single match they have absolutely rocks. This should be that. I expect greatness. I expect excitement. Please, for the love of God, put the tag titles on these 2.
I undoubtedly think that is going to be a title change here. No, there's no way there isn't. It's Aussie Open.
It would be
baby.
shocking.
I'd be shocked.
I'm still shocked that they didn't win the damn World Tag League, but I know why they did it.
Yeah.
They didn't have time to give FTR and Aussie Open a big rematch on Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah. And then you can do, I don't know, Aussie Open versus FTR at Forbidden Door. I don't know.
Tag champs versus tag champs?
I don't know.
We know New Japan's fine with Aussie Open losing, so.
And they're fine with...
They lose everywhere else.
And they're fine with FTR having the titles. And, you know, I'm sure Tony Khan will be fine with Aussie Open having the AEW tag titles. I don't know.
I know I would be.
I don't know. IWGP Junior Heavyweight title match. Hiromu Takahashi versus Robbie Eagles.
I'm not as huge of a fan of Robbie Eagles as pretty much everyone else. I don't expect this to be as good as the Leo Rush match. So, because I don't know how much Robbie Eagles is going to challenge Hiromu to be great.
Yeah. And I think what you're kind of alluding to is my whole thing about it is that I don't like Hiromu as much as I once. I mean, I didn't really love him, but I didn't like him as much as I did at one point in time. I'm not a big Hiromu guy, but I feel like at this point in time, it really comes down to like bringing it out of Hiromu and like reminding him. And I can see where you're coming from with Robbie Eagles. Is I don't necessarily know how much Robbie Eagles will be able to do that with Hiromu at this point in Hiromu's career.
I don't know what new Robbie Eagles looks like either.
That's also true.
Seen any of his TMDK work, so maybe he's a little more, I don't know, like Zach, and maybe that is a good thing.
Yeah,
because they're very similar styles.
Yeah,
he's not as technical, thank God, but I don't know. It should be good. It's just I don't know if it has the ability to be great.
And this is a slight tangent. Before we move on to the next main event,
hit him with it.
How did Lucha Underground never have a match called a as technical match? Is that something as technical? I feel like there's something there.
I thought this was a real tangent.
Main event. Main event IWGP World Heavyweight Title match. Kazuchika Okada versus the New Japan Cup winner Sanada. We have a question here from XX Ichiban. Again, thank you for your question. The match between Sanada and Okada, for me, is one of the biggest toss-ups for the IWGP World Heavyweight title in a while. Who walks away with the win, and who would you like to see be either Okada's next challenger or Sanada's first challenger, presumably at Dominion?
Who do you think kind of feel like it's now or never?
For Sanada?
Mm-hmm. If he was ever going to win the big one, it is Sakura Genesis.
Yeah. Why do you say that? Just feeling or?
he feels refreshed for the first time ever. There's something there with Sonata that it makes me think, okay, they've always liked him.
One.
Let me take a step back. They've always loved him.
Well, one again.
And he's always been the guy on the precipice of he can be great. He can be that main event star. He's very popular. If we were going to talk about, we were talking about sales and stuff earlier this
merch sales and everything
episode, but with Cody and stuff. Sonata's a big merch guy for them.
3.
Even if he's not an LIJ anymore. He's still going to be a big merch guy because he's Sonata. Look at Sonata. You get it. Like, he looks like a main event star. And he's just formed this new faction. He won the New Japan Cup. Everything's working for him for this to be the one and only time because he's never getting this all back. That being said, he is running into the buzzsaw that is 2023 Kazuchika Okada.
Yes.
Which might be the greatest Okada I've ever seen.
Yes.
And I'm saying that in full confidence because he is unbelievable right now. He had a match with Jay White that a lot of people overlooked because of the match that happened before it. That match was phenomenal. And we weren't going to get that without this Okada.
Yeah.
We saw this Okada go one-on-one with Shingo Takagi and have a great match, and a match that Shingo Takagi had no shot of winning.
I'm sure
they had
a
great match.
Sure, it was great.
Yeah. He had a match with Hiroshi Tanahashi that reignited their longtime rivalry, even if Tanahashi no chance to win. And then he bullied the fuck out of Kaito Kiyomiya in one of the biggest one-sided defeats I've ever seen, especially since Kaito Kiyomiya went on to lose to Jake Lee.
Yeah.
This is a different Kazuchika Okada.
This is an Okada that's got the dog in him.
I'm going to say this right now. This might be bold. This is the match that will stop Okada, I think, from having a year-long
reign. Ooh. If he loses. If he wins, there'll be a year-long reign. That's what you think?
Yes. I think it'll be Will Ospreay taking him down at Wrestle Kingdom. If it's not, if he loses to Sonata here, they're going all in on Sonata final. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, I can't see Okada doing anything but going all the way to Wrestle Kingdom.
It's not a fear because I'm not necessarily against it as I was as much as the time. But I feel like, especially with the parallels of his former tag team partner, I think there is a chance we get a Sonata win here, a la the Evil win over Naito. Of, having the title, making him a legitimate guy, winning the World Heavyweight title, and then taking the title off of him later. I think that is a legitimate possibility. I'm personally 60-40 Okada wins.
It makes him a guy, though.
But it would make him a guy. And I think him losing would be like, well, then why join the faction? Why join Just 5 Guys? Why do all this stuff? It's the same thing with Evil. Why do House of Torture? You have to be legitimized to a certain extent. And he wouldn't be legitimate if he, walked out as a loser.
But that's
Cody Rhodes.
That's Sonata. That's been Sonata this whole time.
That's true.
He does these things and he walks out a loser. No matter what, this is a big match for Sonata. I don't give a shit if he's winning or losing.
Yeah.
This is a big match.
Yes.
I think you're very on track there, and it does kind of go with my thinking of the Okada year-long reign or not.
I can see Okada beating him again, just like Naito. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily like that because it's the same story, but I think it's certainly possible. I don't know. I think Okada should win. I want to see Okada win because I love in what Okada's doing. If Okada wasn't doing as great as he is now, like I know in interviews and stuff, Sonata said we got to do the new guard and start getting rid of these old people. But Okada's just doing some of his best work he's ever done in his career, and he's wrestled Omega a bunch of times. This is some of his best work in his entire career. I'm loving what he's doing. I don't want it to stop right now. And Sonata's gonna tarnish that a little bit for me. And I don't
Yeah.
want that. But I think if you're gonna legitimize Sonata, it's here. I don't know where else you do it.
Do you put a title on a guy that lost to Manabu Soya this year?
Great point. Great point.
Thank you. I'm here all week. I that was the most important point. But yeah, I think Okada should win. No offense to Sonata. I feel like there's a bigger story being told with Okada than there is Sonata. Of Okada being this unbeatable version, and he's finally taken down by Ospreay, the guy that they've clearly tried to build for this spot. But who knows? Who knows, Ryan? Maybe Sonata's world champion. Maybe next week we're on the show talking about world champion Sonata.
That would be
if
great.
it does happen, good for him.
That would be fantastic.
When he hit the Shining Wizard when he beat David Finlay, I popped out of my chair. You bet your ass I did.
Yeah.
Little Keiji Muto spot, baby.
Yeah.
But I still pick Okada.
I want Sonata to do the mist and Okada no sells it and then beats the crap out of him.
Oh my god, if he did the mist,
you would cry. You would fall to your knees and weep.
5 stars.
Yeah. The greatest story ever told. Scotty weeps.
I'm already gonna be weeping earlier tonight that I get my dream match, so why not double weeping? Double weepage?
double weepage. God, that's disgusting sounding. Well, that is pretty much. I mean, we only have like 8 minutes left in the show. I mean, we have one more question, which isn't really on topic, but we can ask that question before we get into other things.
All right, let's answer it.
This is at Kyle Criley. I'm really liking these US/Japanese indie companies partnering for talent exchanges and joint shows like West Coast Pro with Marvelous and Deadlock with Gato Move. I wanted to highlight how cool this was. Would love thoughts on this and potential suggestions for more partnerships. Totally agree. West Coast Pro is having a show tonight. And they're not, that's not the partnership with Marvelous show. I believe that's the Queen of the Indie show that the partnering with Marvelous, which that's a huge thing to do. Deadlock is partnering with Gato Move. They're going to have shows in I forget the Gato Move arena, quote unquote, is called, but they're having shows there, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I'm liking what they're doing. I also love West Coast Pro, and I've greatly enjoyed what I've seen from Deadlock. Match of the week spoilers. So yeah, I like the idea of the partnership stuff, but I'm interested to know, Scotty, what your dog, what you and your dog think about this upcoming talent exchange sort of stuff, and where do you want to see more of that in terms of indie wrestling?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think it helps the little companies on both sides of the things. Don't mind the dog.
Dog's adorable.
Just let him be a dog.
He's adorable.
Yeah, like with what Deadlock's doing, they're doing a great job of kind of bringing in a little bit of everyone, right? They had Shun Skywalker, SB Kento, once upon a time.
Is it Emi Sakura, their women's title holder?
Yeah, Emi Sakura has their women's title, which makes the Gato Move thing really cool. They have they've brought in Miyu Yamashita, Miyuki Takase, and with West Coast Pro, right? They're bringing in Marvelous and stuff like that. And I think
they're having a whole talent camp where a winner of the talent camp will go and wrestle in Marvelous. Like, yeah, that's huge.
Full board and everything, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So they're doing everything right. And I think more of it would be appreciated, but only by companies that appreciate that side of the business and what Japan brings to the table.
Yeah.
Like DDT and GCW technically are one, for example.
That's true.
That's what they do.
That's true.
So,
are there any other indies, US indies, that you can think of that you would like to see more? I mean, Defy, I would love to see more of that. More Joshi representation in there.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. That'd be a good one. Prestige,
another good spot.
Prestige would make a lot of sense. Someone just bring All Japan, huh?
Yeah.
What are we doing? Let's get All Japan. Get me Kento in the U.S. Damn it.
Who's a good All Japan indie connection? Who would be a good? I mean,
Christopher Daniels wrestled there once.
yeah. I mean, honestly, I would say like West Coast Pro would be a good All Japan connection there.
That'd be a good one.
That would be a good one.
Give me Kento and Titus Alexander.
I'm trying to think of other Joshi indies. Does Ice Ribbon fit anywhere in the U.S.?
Ice Ribbon's like on the brink of trying to still live, so I wouldn't go with them. Sendai Girls. You can bring Chihiro Hashimoto and who's Mako Satomura work with? Oh, wait.
Does she work anywhere? I don't know.
You want to talk about cuts?
That's true.
Yeah, no, but I think it's great. I think it's been great, and I think it's helped rejuvenate. I think it's made the best indies the best indies.
Yes,
like
it's certified it for us.
Yeah, Deadlock and West Coast are the best two indies.
I would say Defy is up there as well.
Defy is. I just don't get to watch Defy. So
Defy is one of the best indies blocked behind like just insane subscription services that I just don't.
Yeah, I mean Deadlock's pretty tough too.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
But you know.
Anyways.
All right, chill.
Oh my god. They have something to say. What are your thoughts on the US Joshi indie scene? What do you think? No,
this is my old boy. Teddy.
Oh,
he's very old. He's not that old. He's like 10. But
for dogs, that's pretty old.
Yeah. Anyways, let's wrap up the show. Match of the week and stuff.
Match of the week. Thank you everybody for listening to this week's episode of Ring Post Radio. Of course, we appreciate you taking time out of your working schedule to listen to us live or listen to the podcast. Again, subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to it on your podcast player of choice. We greatly recommend that. I'm off work, baby, so we're going to be recording new stuff. We have more stuff coming on the Patreon.
You're tied up in the wire.
Patreon.com/CountOutPod. There's more stuff coming down there. I know that I'm going to be working on stuff. We're going to be recording stuff as well for Ryan hasn't seen anything.
Against my will.
Against his will. Against your dog's will. Against Teddy's will. Teddy will be involved in all further recordings. We'll have a Teddy cam. Can't promise that, but we'll try, I guess. Maybe the finale or something. Scotty, anything to plug, and what was your match of the week?
Follow me at Scotty Wrestling on Twitter. I have an interview with Kyrie coming out today.
Whoa,
it's a pretty big deal.
That would have been a really hard interview to get, probably, right? I mean, there's probably a bunch.
It was
probably a bunch of people trying to get that Kyrie interview.
Yeah, there wasn't as much juiciness to come out of it, but she talked about having a match with Julia, a match with Mercedes Moné, her favorite rival, and stuff like that. So it was fun. And match of the week. What did we not talk about?
We didn't really talk about any matches.
Did I watch any wrestling this week?
I already know what your match is going to be, and I'm sure if you had not seen it yet, it'll probably be from Ring of Honor. That'd be my guess.
Yes, the dead crowd match.
Yeah, that they need to do. When are we announcing that taping for the New York taping, Tony Khan? When are you announcing that? Come on,
probably Athena and Miyu Yamashita. Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah,
very good match that deserved a lot better from the crowd because those two are dropping each other on their heads and kicking each other, and the crowd couldn't have given in less of a shit, and it made me very sad.
I think I saw a tweet saying that match took place at like 11:35 at night. Which
that crowd also sucked.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I'm not going to be fully against the crowd because if I had to watch a match,
they sucked on Dynamite. So
yeah, at 11:35 at night is not good. It's not fun.
I'd be dead.
Follow me on Twitter.
I would probably left.
Follow me on Twitter at Ryan IC. I'm going to be working on more stuff. Jesse and I, my fiance Jesse and I, have been doing what we call Survivor Series, which is us talking about the latest season of Survivor. Pretty good season so far. I'm enjoying what we watched, but we reviewed the first.
I hate that you said it like that.
Survivor Series. Well, because he might get scurvy, so we call it Survivor. We've talked about the first 4 episodes, I believe, or first 3, because the first one was 2 hours of Survivor, and we'll have more episodes of that, of our reviews of recaps and everything. After that, I'll have some more special stuff now that I'm free from work, the shackles of work, shackles of making an actual living paycheck.
I'll be there.
Yes. That being said, I'm no longer working. So if you could please go to patreon.com/countdownpod and become a member of our Patreon, there will be lots more content coming our way. So coming your way. So please, if you can, I would greatly appreciate it. Subscribe to the Patreon. Again, patreon.com/countdownpod. My match of the week.
I see what you did there.
My match of the week is from Deadlock Pro, if you can believe it. From Steel Cage Showdown. Yes, you can.
Was it the cage match?
It was the cage match. Dominic Garrini and Kevin Koo versus Anthony Henry and JD Drake. At one point in time, Anthony Henry was our like indie wrestler of the January of 2023.
Hey, if he got more matches, he would be the indie wrestler of the year.
That's true. And he got another match here, and I thought it was really good. It was a blood fest. Kevin Koo and Dominic Garrini bled a crap ton. And Anthony Henry and JD Drake just like beat the shit out of them. So it was pretty good. It was a pretty enjoyable match, I gotta say. So definitely worth it. I would say so. Go hunt that down, if you please. That is it for this week's episode of Ring Post Radio. Scotty, I cannot believe we did this around 2 hours. I'm shocked.
I'm proud of us.
I am too. I cannot believe. I mean, we did have to cut 3 topics, but that's fine. Who cares?
Hey, if we don't tell anyone, they won't know.
That's true.
Told everyone.
That's true. I didn't say what the topics were. Did I? I think I might have. I think I said that about Collision, but who cares? Anyways,
we didn't get to talk about everything. We'll be back next Sunday.
Yes, we'll be back on Sunday. I believe it was the 16th of April. Let me double check.
That's a holiday for me, by the way.
16th of April. What's that holiday for you for?
Greek Easter.
Greek Easter.
Yeah, we celebrate Greek Easter more than we celebrate regular Easter.
What do you do for Greek Easter, aka Greek?
Hold
on, 1 second. 1 second. 1 second, aka Greekster. Okay, and then continue. Greekster, and then go ahead.
What we do for Easter, but it's Greek.
Greekster. Continue.
You lost me. End the show. End the show. Goodbye. So long, everyone watching the live stream. Eddie says bye. Oh, no, he doesn't. Sorry. He didn't say bye. He wants nothing to do
He wants nothing to do with this. Well, Teddy Cam will be a tough thing then. Then that's it for this week's episode. We thank you all. Have a good Easter. Have a good Greekster. We'll see you all on the 16th. Until then.